Hello everybody, my name is Jolteus Draconicus, aka Ren, and today we have some updates for VCard. Recently, they have tweeted about a roadmap of like all of the future updates and a couple of the new sets, not anything specifically about the sets, just saying, hey, we got these sets planned. But they also have more stuff. They're talking about having new rules, new elements, a bunch of other stuff. Now, this info did come out a little while ago, a couple days ago, and I would have gotten to it sooner, but unfortunately I had a couple things personal that came up that I just had to deal with first. Then I just got really sleepy over the past few days. But outside of that, we're here now, and we're going to be discussing it. We're going to hop right onto it right now. So here's the official roadmap that they have posted on their Twitter. I'll just read it off right here, right now. It basically states, ultimate goal of VCard to elevate the gameplay experience and expanding card types, enriching every facet of the game, deeper strategy, greater variety, all that snazzy jazz and whatnot. So basically at the start of the roadmap, it states, base set launch with casual gameplay. That is the point at where we are at right now. Basically just like the launch of everything, we just got the rules and like all the cards from like the very first set announced and whatnot, yada yada. The next check mark that they have expressed on this is major gameplay update and changes to reflect the set. Thank God. Because as I as well as many other people have expressed, rule set's a little jank. There's a lot of flaws in it, and it's good that they're taking the right steps to change and better and alter the rule set, so that way the people who are here for the actual TCG and not just here for cute beeblebers on pieces of cardboard, then they can also, you know, get what they're here for. So yeah. After that, whenever that so happens to come, they expressed that they are going to be launching set 2, 3, and 4 whenever those times arrive. And in those sets, there's going to be new elements, new card types, new game mechanics, and just a bigger roster of content creators and talents. So first off, when it comes to new elements, I was totally on board with just 5 elements. I'm a-okay with that. It does kind of like shrink or limit the diversity of like each element, but it's like we're not like playing like Magic or One Piece or anything like that, so you don't have to have a diverse amount. It's just that, I don't know, I like lore. I like lore. I like lore. I like flavor, you know, with like each different element just like adhering to just more than just an elemental, you know, theme. It actually has like more story behind it, but I digress. I'm super excited for more elements, more diversity throughout the game and the aesthetic. I really like that. Next, they have new dynamic card types, so that means we're gonna get more cards beyond just power level, mascot, and support cards. We're gonna get other things. What those other things are, we have yet to find out. I'm sure that maybe they could do like something more specific to like maybe enchantments from like Magic the Gathering or something along those lines. Who knows, maybe they'll have things that are like immediately go to the graveyard. Again, with the current rules right now being finicky, we still don't have a full concept of like what is going to change, what is going to stay in that matter. So it's hard to pinpoint what specifically new types of things they are going to make when it comes to card types, but still a good thing that they're adding to nonetheless. Next up is gameplay mechanics. They're going to be adding different gameplay mechanics. I imagine just like different ways that different power level cards interact with each other. Who knows, maybe we'll get different mascots with different rules as opposed to just giving like +1/+1 bonuses. Maybe they'll let you draw some cards or like other things like that. Maybe they'll let you play an additional card, some stuff like that. Supports are like very versatile in the way that they work. They can have like a variety of different effects, so that could just be literally anything in most senses. That like you just like have so many different types of effects for that. Possibilities are endless in that matter. And then a growing roster of talents, more VTubers and like other content creators just getting their spotlight at a fun little card game. Always a good thing. Always a good thing. There's no like harm in that whatsoever, unless they like sign in like a racist or something. That's gonna be pretty bad, but I don't think they do that. And all of that is happening within the next upcoming 3 sets. So by the next set launch, we're going to be getting all of that. Or at the very least, that's spread out across the next 3 sets. One of the 2. And then at the very end of the poll, we have building towards our competitive gameplay with tournament and event support. So they're going to be looking into competitive stuff, which is good. And I will touch up on that here in a moment because I have some more specifics about that, but I'm going to read the rest of what's on here first. They state, above all, they're committed to ensuring the game's longevity and delivering the absolute best experience possible. We'll continue to listen, adapt, evolve, always valuing our community's voices and never overlooking concerns. Your passion drives us, and together we'll shape a greater future. And then they also say there's going to be promos. Yay, promos. So basically they're just saying, hey, we're here for the long run. We're here to do what's right, basically make the changes that we need to make, do the things that they need to do. All that snazzy jazz, just to make sure, you know, they have a long life and are a good, well-standing company that provides a good value product to their consumers. Now, when it says building towards our competitive game with tournament and event support, that's what it shows here at the end of the poll. But it says at the beginning of the poll, major game update changes to the rules to reflect unlimited set, yada yada. This, I might be looking at a weird angle. This some reason stirs me personally to be like, are there going to be different rule sets for casual and competitive? Or are they just trying to get things fixed as of right now for the game, and they're going to be worrying about like competitive, like organizing stuff and like getting like a different rule set out for competitive later. That's what I envision this is saying, although I have no knowledge or insider information like that. I'm just saying what I see on the screen. So another thing is that they have always advertised this game to be very simplistic and easy to pick up in nature. How much that will change throughout the course of all of this, throughout the game update, to all of the new additions that they're going to be adding through elements, card types, yada yada, and then correlating to like how much they're going to add towards, you know, the competitive scene. You know, what they do with that could mean a lot of things. The way they say it is very vague in nature. They could add more cards that just are competitive, more so leaning towards power creep in a sense, hopefully not too much. But yeah, they could just be making cards more optimized specifically, or this could even just relate to like actual setting up tournaments, you know, like going to LGS's, local game stores, and like setting stuff up there, getting like actual like events organized at like conventions for like actual tournaments and whatnot, getting like all that set up and whatnot. But because that is on like the latter end of this roadmap, it makes me a little worried that they're not going to focus too much on the card game, and they're just going to focus on the cards themselves. And that has been a bit of a talk recently within the community about VCard and its future. People have been having a lot of concerns about this being more so just a cash grab and just being about selling cards just for profit. Now, I do not think that way. I do actually think that they are trying to promote an actual product, an actual TCG here. Have they had troubles? Yes, massively. They had a very rough start, a start that's going to be rough to come back from, but I do have hope in them. I do legitimately think that they are trying to make an actually good product here, an actual card game, and not just selling pictures of VTubers and whatnot. But in this tweet, I saw a couple of the replies and whatnot, and I figured it'd be good to like touch up on those just to like add further to this. There's this one person, and I blurred out all the names just so people don't like go and like, you know, witch hunt them or anything just for having a disagreeing take or whatnot. This individual asked basically, what are the odds that you'll do limited runs of old sets in the future? Basically in stuff like, I know for a fact Magic, the Gathering for example, as well as stuff like, I think maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! They have basically re-released old sets, basically the same exact cards and whatnot, after a long span of time. So basically, people would have the same cards and whatnot, but in the modern era. So that way prices don't like spike up far too much. In that way, game competitiveness can like stay balanced throughout the course of its life. They have responded, absolutely zero, absolutely zero. And then another fellow asked, are there any chances of at least reprints of older cards? They said, absolutely not. When they are gone, we will never reprint them again. I take issue with this personally. Now, from an exclusivity of like card arts and whatnot for like, just like making things more rare, more valuable, that is understandable. However, these aren't trading cards. This is a trading card game. When it comes to a trading card game, if everything becomes too exclusive and whatnot, and like the meta comes around to where we actually get into competitiveness, there's going to be a point to where a lot of like the older cards that might have been better than some newer cards or whatnot, they're going to be totally exclusive, and if what they say they stick by, you'll never get them again. And the way that VCard, specifically Gamer Subs, does their marketing is specifically through FOMO. Basically, the way they run their things is like they do an online pre-order for 2 weeks, and after those 2 weeks, you can never get the product again. Now, for their other products, I see this as like whatever sort of thing. That's just the way that they do their marketing. But for a TCG, at least for the long run, this is bad. Even if they don't reprint old sets, reprinting just individual cards is still a good thing. Not only do you provide value to your consumers for the long run of the TCG competitively, but also for like collecting in general, just like people being able to get old arts that maybe they missed out on. As well as, me personally, I hate FOMO. There have been many times where it's like there's been products even outside of card games where it's like, oh, I found out about this thing a day or two too late and now I will never get it again. Oh, that sucks. And I feel like everyone can emphasize with me that FOMO does suck. No one likes FOMO, but it is a marketing strategy nonetheless, and they're just capitalizing on it. For a TCG though, I do again feel like overall it is not good for the health of the actual game itself. Now, if this was just trading cards, then I wouldn't care in the world. I would have zero care. It's like, oh yeah, just pieces of cardboard, just like have your little fancy schmancy sparkly VTuber on it. Like, that's totally fine. But once you add game onto it, this opens Pandora's box. You have to adhere to so many different rules and so many different things when it comes to actually doing marketing, doing like set releases, specifics to cards and whatnot. Trading cards and trading card games are two very, very different things. Now, further on to this message, when VCard replied absolutely zero, this other person asked why, and they stated other card games reprint old cards in different rarities, holos, foils to make cards more accessible, as well as if the old card is like feeds into the meta or whatnot, or is like becomes competitively viable, then they get access to more copies, so that way people can have more access to actual competitivity and then be able to play at tournaments more. And they also state that this would also allow for re-release of old cards with alternate arts too, and just be better for everyone in the long run. Basically what I stated just a couple minutes ago. Having reprints for old cards, even if they're not meta, is still a good thing. Now, I'm looking at this right now personally from like a more, trading card game perspective, because I do actually want to play the card game. Don't get me wrong, I love VTubers, but I also love trading card games. I play like a freaking dozen. But like having exclusivity on individual cards isn't really a good thing for the meta. It's good for the market, yes, because then with things being more exclusive and whatnot, things are going to be upscaled in price and whatnot and all that. But to not reprint anything, even if they were to change like arts of stuff but still keep the same text, that'd be totally fine. They don't have to, adhere to the exclusivity just because of the fancy artwork. No, they can still change that up. I know plenty of other card games, like I said earlier, Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, the big three. They still do reprints of the same cards, just with slightly different effects sometimes, and just slightly different artworks. And I'm sure all of the TCG people in here, or actually here for the game, would appreciate re-releases of individual cards. Again, even if it's just individual cards, even if they don't reprint a full set, that would still be good for, just like the player base and the longevity of the game itself as a whole. Now, I have seen further complaints about this whole like discussion on Twitter that I just didn't screenshot, I just didn't take the time to. Basically, it's just stating that, oh, you're not going to support the TCG? All right, I'm out. I do have hope in VCard, but I just hope they aren't too stuck in their ways in the future, and I hope they are more open to change and their idea and philosophy of this, because again, like I stated earlier, this is a trading card game, not trading cards. Those are two very, very different things. You have to adhere to so many different rules, different marketing, different everything. Now, furthermore, into them basically saying they're never going to reprint anything, this also does bring to mind, for those who play Magic the Gathering, specifically more so something along the lines of Commander, there is a specific list of cards that are classified under the Reserved List. And what the Reserved List is basically old cards. I'm talking about like from like the 90s from Magic. They're basically have stated that they will never reprint ever, basically to keep and retain those cards like value and whatnot for them being so old and so rare. They're saying kind of like they're going to do a reserved list, but instead of just for a couple cards here and there, it's going to be for everything. When Magic does it, that's totally fine because like it's only a select set of cards specifically that are just super old from very old sets that they're just not going to reprint. More modern day cards, or even like cards from like, heck, even 2 decades ago. Like they're still going to like reprint and whatnot. They have reprinted, and they'll still provide those to players who will be playing them, whether or not they just like want those cards just for like collections, or even just like reprinting them for the competitive scene, which is very good for the competitiveness of a game. But when it comes to limiting not only those options, but all of those options, again, I keep stressing this, it's very not healthy for the game aspect of this. I hope in due time they do change their minds and opinions about actually reprinting cards. Again, even if they change the artworks, that is totally fine. But when it comes to meta and like very specific effects, this is just going to spike the market and make things more exclusive, and especially with the way how GamerSupps does their marketing through FOMO, it's really going to deter people from their product, unfortunately. And so I just hope that they just take the time in consideration to actually think about this and whatnot before they just go saying, yeah, we're never going to re-release anything or anything like that, because I have already seen a couple people state that basically just like they're not going to buy this product because, oh, they're just leaning into FOMO and, oh no, I'm just going to stick to Pokemon, I'm just going to stick to Yu-Gi-Oh, all that stuff, because that way I know I actually have a good card game that I know not only has lasted but will continue to last, and they'll continue to actually support their players and whatnot. When you have a whole market behind a game that is reliant on individual cards and whatnot, doing pure FOMO out of that really deters people from buying your product. When it comes to what VCard is doing throughout marketing and whatnot, I think they got a good thing going on. But they, again, I keep stressing this. This isn't just trading cards. This is a trading card game. You have stated, you have marketed it that way. You have marketed your product as a game. Don't just ditch it. Don't just ditch the game aspect of it. Some people here are actually here for the game, not just the VTubers, I included. You have to adhere to that side of the community and not just the people who want exclusivity in their, fancy cardboard. One last point that I wanted to bring up about VCard and like the marketing for it as a TCG as a whole is that one thing that I specifically saw in another individual's video a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago was basically they were talking about like distribution to like LGSs and like other game stores and whatnot, basically getting their names spread out and having more people buy their products and having it more widespread outside of just their own website, so that way people could have easier access to them. A couple of unfortunate things is that one, VCard, it's called VCard. That is immediately a very raunchy name, and I know it's purposeful, but it's not gonna adhere to like, the common TCG player or like local LGS players and whatnot. And especially with all of the lewd artwork in here, not that all of it's lewd, but VCard purposefully does very well lean into that sort of dynamic and that sort of aesthetic. And unfortunately, that kind of aesthetic, not good for marketing, with like the actual like lewd theme behind the game with like all of the card arts as well as the name specifically. Do you honestly think a lot of LGS stores are going to actually buy this product? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's going to be some, but like most that are going to be family-friendly stores and whatnot selling like things like Pokemon or whatnot, they're not going to pick this up because of the lewd theme that this game has. It's going to make marketing to like outside companies and whatnot and LGSs very difficult, as well as it's going to limit the actual growth of this card game to just the VTuber and content creator space. Maybe it'll grow more spread out to like Twitch and YouTube as time goes on, but just because of the nature of the card game, I'm not saying they need to change anything, but just naturally that automatically stuns the growth of it and like the diversity that and the reach that it can have overall as a game. Now, this obviously isn't too bad. I think there are plenty of raunchy games that are there purely just for lewd imagery and whatnot, just for marketing and adhering to their specific audience and whatnot. But when it comes to a trading card game, it does work a little bit differently than like other things like video games, for example, because these are actual physical products. They aren't like digital or anything like that. They aren't limited to like just pixels on a screen, you know? Again, I just don't see too many companies like an LGS store picking this up or like contacting them because of just like the theme that it has, unfortunately. And not everyone's here for, you know, lewd imagery and booba or whatnot. Some people just aren't into that. I mean, I myself am celibate, so I'm not necessarily here for like the booba. I just like the people because I just think they're funny or whatnot. They entertain me on a day-to-day basis. They're very funny and charming personalities or whatnot. They're amazing people. So I'm not here for like the artwork or whatnot. I'm here for the people and I'm here for the actual game itself. But again, it just, unfortunately, by the nature of the game itself, this is just going to stun and limit growth and how far you can get. Not saying that it can't get far, it's just not going to get as far as other things. But hey, it doesn't have to. You don't have to get to the same level as the big three, you know? You know, other card games like, I don't know, Flesh and Blood and Digimon and Cardfight Vanguard, those things aren't nearly as popular as the big three. They're still popular, but they don't have to adhere to like the, you know, the giant scale that those three are at, you know? Like they play in their lane very well, and VCard definitely has its own lane, and so far I think it's been playing that lane well. Hopefully it continues to, and like I said, as long as they keep, you know, expanding on what they've been doing so far, as well as to continue to have an open mind, and as long as they cater to not only the people who are here for the trading cards, but also here for the game, and they have a balance in that, and they continue to grow and diversify their rules and their marketing for this, the better it will be, the more it will grow, and the better off the game itself will be in the long run for its life and longevity. And with all of that, that is all the news and thoughts that I had for this video. If VCard announces or launches or replies to anyone or anything else in the future, I'll be sure to continue to make videos on that and be more quick to the punch to like actually get these videos uploaded and out. Again, like I said earlier, I've just been busy for the past like 2 or 3 days, so I couldn't get to everything that I needed to immediately about this. But I just want to say one last thing. Thank you all so much for all of the lovely support, all of the likes and comments that you have been giving me. I super much appreciate it. This has been so astounding. You guys have just blown my expectations out of the water. Thank you so much for all support. Even if you're not like commenting or liking, even if you're just watching the video, I super appreciate it. I am so thankful for each and every single one of you. Seriously, this brings me so much joy to my day. Just like be able to like look at the numbers on my phone just slightly go up on my videos, and like all the people commenting being just as passionate about this as me. It brings me so much joy and splendor. I very much appreciate each and every single one of you. I hope you all have a blessed rest of your day. This is all the news I got. Take care, lads. Have a good rest of your day, night, evening, dawn, dusk, whatever it so may be for you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Rest easy.